Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I'm Thelma Okoro. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has assured Nigerians not to panic over the state of his health. The president has been out of the country, in London to be precise, for over a month for undisclosed medical reasons. In a statement by his spokesman Femi Adesina, the president said that recent test results showed he needed a longer period of rest. It, however, did not disclose when the president will be returning to the country. His absence has deepened suspicions among many Nigerians that the true state of his health is worse than officials are admitting publicly. Since his absence, Yemi Osinbajo has assumed presidency of the country. The United Nations Children Agency, UNICEF, says about 1.4 million children in Africa suffering from severe malnutrition could die in 2017. According to the UN report, most of the countries likely to be affected by the famine include Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen. Insurgency-ravaged northeast Nigeria is believed to have over 450,000 malnourished children. UNICEF Director Anthony Lake has appealed for quick action to stop the famine. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says about 310,000 internally displaced people in Borno State have returned home following the liberation of their communities from Boko Haram. NEMA Northeast Coordinator Mohammed Kana says that as at Monday, only about 100,000 were still remaining in camps across Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Boko Haram's over 7-year insurgency has killed more than 15,000 people and forced over 2 million from their homes. At least 21 people have been killed in fresh attacks in southern Kaduna State. The latest incident happened in 4 communities in Kaura and Jama local government areas of the state. The attack, which has been confirmed by the Kaduna State Police, came just barely some weeks ago. It also comes 2 weeks after some herdsmen and indigents of the communities in southern Kaduna State signed a peace accord. Hundreds of people have been killed in southern Kaduna by suspected Fulani herdsmen. Stakeholders in the maritime sector have called for the support of the National Assembly in reviewing and amending many laws guiding operations of the sector. This formed part of discussions of a 2-day retreat organized by the House Committee on Ports, Harbors and Waterways, as well as the Federal Ministry of Transportation and its agencies in Lagos.
My speech, the Speaker and the Honorable Minister, there is a recession in this country. And even before the recession, those of us who have had something to do with Nigerian ports know there are a whole lot of issues, from the delays in clearance of cargo to cargo diversion to other countries, to the fact that we are earning very little revenue for the level of investment that has been made in those ports and our expectations as a country. And when we looked at Parliament at some of these issues, we traced some of the problems to the laws, some are to the agreements that the previous governments have signed, which were committed, and some are to management issues. And we felt that it was important that as Parliament, we don't just take a beer and without interacting with the stakeholders, those who are in the industry, and the ministry that is in charge of that. And that's not just about MPA. We looked at all the agencies in that sector. Just know that here is a sector that will give Nigeria a lot of money, but it's giving us next to nothing. And much more disappointing is that Benin Republic or Ghana or Togo are making a lot of money out of our own inefficiencies. So we felt that we should bring stakeholders together and talk first here, where most of the ports are. Then secondly in Abuja, where we're doing public hearings, because there are about 6 bills that want to make amendments of and enact laws that are competitive, that will try to cure some of those challenges.
To give an overview of the role of transportation in the national economy, we have seen that transport is all-pervading. Transport systems affect all aspects of life in Nigeria, and the only way to sustain it is for government to bring about sanity, to encourage intermodalism in the transport systems, to encourage modal integration, meaning that different modes of transport, by road, by air, by rail, should come together, and the policies will affect all of them.
Nigeria's whistleblowing policy put in place 2 months ago is already yielding positive results for the Nigerian government. Over $180 million of suspected stolen public funds have so far been recovered by the government. The recent one being a stash of $9.8 million in the home of former NNPC Group Managing Director Andrew Yakubu. While many are hopeful that this new policy will lead to recovery of more stolen public funds, there are concerns among Nigerians that without a Whistleblower Protection Act, the safety of whistleblowers cannot be guaranteed.
The federal government of Nigeria has started making huge discoveries just 2 months after it announced the new whistleblower policy, which basically provides cash reward for whistleblowers. Despite the recovery of over $118 million from various corrupt individuals, the safety of whistleblowers remains a huge concern. Nigerians do not yet have a Whistleblower Protection Act, but just a policy that encourages whistleblowing.
Any government that is serious about tackling corruption must go ahead and make adequate provision for those who are giving out information as to people who are involved in corrupt practices. And one of them is to make sure that the life of that person who has given out information is protected. We must also ensure that he does not in any way suffer by giving out that information. So he shouldn't suffer any discrepancy, he should not suffer any inconvenience, he should not suffer any injury to himself and to his body or to his family members for coming out to help the state to recover, stolen money. So the state must be serious in this fight against corruption by making sure that those things we are talking about are actually provided and provided very fast in the law.
Without a whistleblower protection law in place, prospective whistleblowers with useful information may not want to speak up due to fear for their safety. This, Barrister Janaku says, could lead to the failure of the policy.
Now, we are saying, should I not be protected, even from the person I'm reporting to? Can I make my identity hidden? The act is to ensure that the moment you give your information, the agencies or the parasites or departments necessary for investigation will quickly go into action, swing into action, recover if need be, or ensure that there is no movement of what has been seen. Then secure that person who has whistleblown into safe custody, so that whoever has so much money who could go after him will not be able to find him. His identity will be kept secret. That is why, as a matter of necessity, you must have the Whistleblowers Act following the Whistleblowers Protection Act following the Whistleblowers Act. In fact, the Whistleblowers Protection Act ought to be enforced before the Whistleblowers Act itself.
The passage of the Whistleblowers Law would not only ensure the safety of the whistleblower, but the continuous existence of the whistleblower policy, even after the present administration leaves office.
I believe that if it is enacted into law, even if any subsequent government comes in, the only thing they can do is to amend, probably to reflect their own policy. An amendment will not be too fatal against the interests of fighting corruption, because we'll be watching, Nigerians will be watching to see the kind of amendment. But that's why we are insisting that this must be passed into law, because it is only when it's passed into law you can be really assured of the permanent status of that law, that is permanent. But if it is only ordinary government policy, another government comes in tomorrow, it can change it because it's not enacted into law. So it is important that we insist that this particular policy, that is very commendable, that will actually go a long way in fighting corruption and recovering almost most of the things that have been stolen.
The policy's objective is to increase exposure of financial crimes while supporting the fight against corruption. The government has been urged to speed up the passage of the Protection Act to encourage more Nigerians, while they judiciously use the recovered public funds to finance Nigeria's infrastructure deficits. Endurance Alonge, TV360, Lagos.
Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has denied endorsing Ali Modu Sheriff as the authentic chairman of the People's Democratic Party. The former president had met with Sheriff on Monday this week. After that meeting, Jonathan was reported to have declared his support for Sheriff as the PDP chairman. However, in a fresh statement issued on Tuesday, Jonathan has since denied making such statement. He says he also met with the McCarthy-led faction of the party and is only working to get both factions of the party to work together. The Nigerian government has warned the South African government of huge consequences if South Africans continue further attacks on Nigerians in the country. The Nigerian community in South Africa has experienced 2 major attacks in the last 1 week. The latest incident happened on February 5th in Johannesburg. A statement by the government says domestic grievances over ownership of homes were used as justification to attack Nigerians. The government has strongly urged the South African government to quickly bring to justice the perpetrators of these attacks. The Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission has commenced a forum to sensitize the public on the forthcoming local council polls. The forum will be held across 3 senatorial districts of Lagos State. The commission held the first in a series of the exercise at Alausa Ikeja. Chairman of the commission, Justice Phillips, accompanied by some key members of the commission, took an inspection tour of the offices of electoral officers and storage facilities for ballot boxes in the 57 local government areas of the state.
Right, there'll be a total of 12,350 polling units, no less than that's used in this election, and that's what INEC used in the last election, the last runoff that we had. 2, we're not going to use the card reader this election, purely by ballot paper, thumbprint on your ballot paper. And then the stakeholders meeting is very important to sensitize the electorate to the upcoming elections. We've noticed that there's a lot of voter apathy and it's getting worse, so we need to address it and attack it head on, and that's why we've invited Obas and chiefs and the religious leaders here today to hear from us, go back to their various domains and constituencies and churches and mosques to go back and talk to the electorate to please encourage them to come out and vote.
What will happen to electoral offenders?
Well, the law is clear. Anybody caught with any electoral offense is subject to a term of imprisonment or a fine. And we intend to use that law to give the full extent of the law on any miscreant or any offender. We're still discussing that, but we've noted that there are lots of physically challenged persons, and as best as we can, if we have the infrastructure, we'll encourage them to come out and vote and make provision for them.
The war against importation of substandard goods in Nigeria received a boost as the Standard Organization of Nigeria's Sun confiscated substandard tires worth over 500 million naira. The agency told journalists that the goods were intercepted on the highway after leaving the Lagos port.
With all this destroying the beads of the tires as you are squeezing them, and you know how they were put into each other. So that is exactly what we are saying. By the time you are doing all this, you have destroyed the tires before the people are buying them. And so somebody who is coming, the next is they just check the threads here. They tell you that they are all new. You can see that all these are new. They are new tires, and you go ahead that you are buying new tires without knowing that you are buying killer tires.
And the seizure of some electrical appliances, the agency noted that the goods did not go through thorough proper investigations at the Lagos port, but may be released to the importers after another round of tests.
So if this product is leaving the port without SUN's examination, without SUN releasing it in line with its import procedures, then it means that the products are suspect. And that's why we pick them on the road, and until we carry out due diligence, which starts with the proper investigation, which is proper inspection and identification of all the products that are inside the container. When we do this, then we take the samples and do the laboratory analysis. We compare the results. It is at this level, that we can now say that these products are standard or substandard. So this is the process of investigation.
A German-based investment company, Enkip Commodities, says it intends to invest about 300 million euros into the Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industrialists. The company says the partnership is geared towards developing small-scale companies in Nigeria. This will be done by influencing foreign loans at lower interest rates, industrial development grants, and development of Nigerian products in Europe and Asia.
This is the first time when I met your nation, and this is my first meeting and conference we do back in this building. So let me use time to work with your partner, your people, to understand the policy, the process, and then of course we will start the investment in your nation. That will be promised. But now to give you clearly information, it will be too early. This meeting is opened a lot and give me the information to understand this nation, and also to understand the process of the investment and trading in this country. So give me also time to find out the common goal in between working with NASI and also local people, and especially also with you.
When this administration came in 2015, what we did was that we discovered there were a lot of things lacking, and there cannot be any meaningful development, and that is why we decided to put down the strategic plan, which covers from the beginning the administrative structure of NASI, introduction of NASI industrial parks, introduction of bringing in investors to carry out some of these our plans, and maybe after this we can now give you is a whole lot of things. We have the development of our database also in this strategic plan. We have also implemented Know Your Members in this strategic plan, and the next step is just what we are just doing.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no. You don't need to do this. We are only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
It's now time for business stories. Fidelia is standing by with all the latest.
Thank you, Thelma. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, says it has provided additional forex to banks as part of its effort to improve hardship experienced by Nigerians who need forex for school fees, medicals, and personal traveling allowance. The additional forex will be sold at 20% above the interbank rate. The CBN has also announced plans to sell $1 million weekly to each of the country's 21 commercial lenders at a rate of 375 naira. The decision was taken to clear a backlog of demand and try to narrow the premium between the official and the black market rates. The Standards Organization of Nigeria wants to ensure all electricity meters imported or assembled in Nigeria meet a given standard. It has set up a committee to achieve this mandate. Director General SON Osita Aboloma disclosed this in a meeting in Lagos. Aboloma was represented at the meeting by SON Head Port and Border Operations, Albert Wilberforce.
Now there is need for SON to bring a harmonized standard on metering so that there will be uniformity in the charges and service being rendered and being paid by the general public. SON is a member of the International Electrotechnical Committee on Standardization, a member of the ISO, and so we cannot be an isolation in the international community. And so whatever that is being adopted and agreed globally, we need to align with it so that we can go along. But the case of adoption is that you look at what is peculiar to the needs of your environment, your population, and so many other factors. That does not mean that whatever that is agreed internationally will just be adopted, without consideration of the peculiarity of our environment.
Everybody will bring in whatever, because everybody has gone through the IEC documents. We have now looked at our environment. The Nigerian factor, we have to put it in place so that when we finalize, it will be acceptable to both the consumers, generally, whether you are in the industry, whether you are commercial, whether you are domestic, it will be acceptable to you. And it will also be acceptable to the service providers, electricity providers.
So the move now is that in order to stop the theft of the electricity or bypassing the meter, you don't have access to the meter again, and likewise you don't have the access, because if you do anything, whatever is coming to your house, if you bypass it, the meter is still reading the load.
Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce wants the Nigerian government to focus its policies towards the diversification of the economy, which should lead to increase in the agricultural and industrial sectors to strengthen the nation's economy. National President of the Chamber, Olabintom Famutimi, made the call in Lagos during the Stakeholders Forum on the Economy. Abiola Ismail now
Getting
reports.
Nigeria out of recession, how the 2017 budget affects business outlook, was the focus of the discussion of Nigerian American Chambers of Commerce as it converged experts from different fields to discuss the theme. Speakers look at the four key areas in which the business community has been critical of the management of the economy by the federal government. These include the multiple foreign exchange rates being employed by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, lack of sufficient involvement by the private sector in the constitution of the nation's economic management team, and the non-resolution of the power crisis which has engulfed the country for many years. The president of the chamber says the current economic system of distribution in the country is dangerous and inefficient. He explained that Nigeria as a giant of Africa has for long been regarded as a nation blessed with abundant human and material resources. However, the underutilization of these potentials has amplified widespread poverty, low standard of living at individual level, and rising unemployment in the country.
Transportation, improving ease of doing business in the country. This will ultimately lead to boost industrialization, which will improve the job creation, skills upgrade, promotion of exports, and economic development.
The Director General Juliet Akpata noted that the economic recession was as a result of incessant mono-economic practices and drastic neglect of other sectors of the economy, such as agriculture, tourism, mining, and manufacturing industry.
Another critical area also is ease of doing business. I mean, especially for small businesses, you have multiple taxation, you have poor infrastructure, and the list goes on and on. So I think we are optimistic that with the current administration being focused, definitely we should be able to come out of these in another couple of months, hopefully.
Bismarck Rewani, a renowned economist, believes that the 2017 economic outlook is still bright and promising.
There's a disconnect between the message, the reality, and the aspiration. So, as economists, the only missing ingredient here, everything else is working right, is the confidence of people to know that 2017 theoretically should be 100% better than what it was in 2016.
As a bilateral chamber that promotes business relations between Nigeria and the United States of America, USA, The economic policies of the two countries are of tremendous interest to the group. Abiola Ismail, TV360 Lagos.
Oil prices rose more than $1 a barrel on Tuesday after OPEC said it was sticking to its agreement to cut production. Benchmark Brent crude rose by $1.13 to trade at $53.15 a barrel, while US crude was up $1 to trade at $54.40 a barrel. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and other producers, including Russia, last year agreed to cut output by 1.8 million barrels a day in an effort to drain a glut that has depressed prices for over 2 years. The cuts have spurred a speculative move into crude oil that has pushed prices towards the top of their recent range. That's all on business. Thelma will be back with more stories. Stay tuned.
Corruption not in my country.
That was a very good business.
Yeah.
The furniture you brought was very perfect.
That's how we roll.
Because then let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much was it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
Mbano. The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no! I just do business like that now. Yeah.
In that case, give me back my check. Let me go and look for someone that understand business.
Take.
Your loss.
But it is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No.
You will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people. Make not really add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
At least 5 people have been killed after suicide bombers tried to storm a courthouse in northwest Pakistan. The 3 bombers were also killed and more than 15 others wounded during the attack. There was a 20-minute firefight at the gates to the courthouse complex, according to authorities. The Pakistani Taliban group known as Jamaat-ul-Ahrar says it's carried out the attack, which is the latest in a number of bombings to hit the country in recent days. The bodies of 74 migrants have been found washed up on a beach near a western Libyan city. A Red Crescent spokesman identified as Mohammed Al-Mizarati said the bodies had been recovered on Monday and that the migrants appear to have died during the past 2 days. The migrants were all adults, mostly from sub-Saharan African countries, and all but 3 of them were male. Libya is the main departure point for most migrants hoping to reach Europe by sea. The Nigerian Football Federation says it will not be backing CAF President Issa Hayatou for another term in office. Hayatou is bidding for an 8th term in office. The body's president, Amaju Pinnick, says the NFF will be backing Madagascar's Ahmad's bid to replace Hayatou. Pinnick says CAF needs a new generation of leadership following the change at the top of the world governing body, FIFA. A Spanish High Court has ordered that Barcelona forward Neymar, as well as former Barcelona president Sandro Rosell and his successor, Josep Maria Bartomeu, face charges for fraud. The allegations relate to the issues concerning the original amount Barcelona paid for Neymar during his transfer from Santos in 2013. They can't appeal against the court's decision until a date is reached. That's all we have on News Now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.